So, boys, I stay tuned. There's a gewaldige podcast. Rabbi Steve Geller does a gewaldige Zach, and that'll be coming out this week. Torah Giants on Chumash. Shalom Avrach, and welcome to the weekly piece on the parsha from Torah Giants on Chumash, written by Rabbi Yitzchak Meir Gunman, the Rabbi Emeritus of Youngest Rockaway. Sit back and enjoy.
Welcome to Torah Giants on Chumash. I'm Steve Geller. In Judaism, especially for Balei Teshuvah, it seems easy to feel like unless we finish Shas, learn all of Tanakh and Halacha, that we haven't really accomplished much. The truth is, some of the smallest actions, the minor self-improvements, are the most spiritually meaningful in our lifelong journey of growth. Where do we see this? Right here in our parsha. We're in the middle of the Torah's chronicling the life of Avraham Avinu. Among the many deserving platitudes, Avraham Avinu was also the first Bal Teshuva. Others had done acts of tshuva, but Avraham was the first to come back to the faith in Hashem, the one and only God who created the world in 6 days and demanded fidelity of faith. With that context, let's look at our pasuk. This week in our parsha, Avraham took cream and milk in the calf. He prepared and placed before them, v'hu omed aleihem, and he stood over them beneath the tree as they ate. If we look a little earlier, we see a different configuration involving the term standing. 6 psukim before, looking up, Avraham saw 3 figures, nitzavim alav, standing over him. Perceiving this, he ran from the entrance of the tent to greet them and bowed toward the ground. According to Rav Yehoshua, the Belzer Rebbe, originally, the angels stood over Avraham. Now in our pasuk, the positions were reversed. For when Avraham was just sitting at the door of his tent, naturally the angels towered over him in spiritual greatness. But once he was engaged in a mitzvah, the mitzvah of Hachnasus Orchim, overcoming his weakness in order to provide for his guests with great enthusiasm, based on that single mitzvah, that solitary act, he stood over the angels, angels whose greatness is natural and impervious to temptations. In other words, in doing a mitzvah wholeheartedly, man can rise above the angels. To really add depth and color, I want to introduce you to a new project that HaRav Eytan Feiner Shlitt helped me start. It's a new YouTube channel called Torah Maybe. Torah Maybe is a platform to allow us to share our own Chidushei HaTorah. And Rav Feiner beautifully outlines in the trailer for the channel the obligation that we all have to share Chidushim that Hashem gives us. Why am I bringing this up here? Well, Rabbi Feiner fittingly recorded the first of the Chidushei HaTorah for the channel a few weeks ago. Here's an intro to the Torah Maybe channel and a clip from that video of Rav Feiner sharing his own original Chiddish that just so happens to add color and depth to our pasuk. We go to yeshiva to learn, that's Torah. We seek closeness to Gedolim, that's Torah. We daven for inspiration and v'sein chalkenu b'sorasecha, that's Torah. We come up with chidushim in our own learning, that's Torah. Maybe.
In this fantastic platform for giving people the ability to share their Chidushei Torah. If I could just share a small Chiddush that just came to me this year after Baruch Hashem having learned Maseches Brachos many times. This is the first time that this insight has hit me. And it's a famous Gemara in Maseches Brachos. Daf Lamed Daled Amud Beis, it Shitas, the opinion of Rabbi Avo. Many of you have heard this line many times before. The Rambam has a slightly different girsa. I'm going to read you the wording in our Gemara Shas Bavli, the end of the 5th parak of Maseches Brachos. Rabbi Avo tells us, Mokum Balei Teshuvah Omdin, Tzadikim Gemurim Einem Omdin. In the place that Balei Teshuvah stand, Tzadikim Gemurim don't stand. So most people walk away from this Gemara. You see that Balei Teshuvah, in a sense, are on a higher level, where they're standing, and this is, of course, a reference to Olam Haba, to the next world. Tzadikim Gemurim don't stand. There's something special about Balei Teshuvah when you go through the process of Teshuvah, and Balei Teshuvah stands in a place that even Tzadikim Gemurim don't stand. So it struck me. What an interesting, unique terminology. Stand? Who's standing in the Olam Hamas? Who's standing in Olam Haba? Olam Haba is relaxing. Olam Haba is the ultimate utopia of unparalleled serenity, tranquility, you name it. And the Gemara says, so what? How do we define Olam Haba? What's part of the nature? Again, it's indescribable, but something that's tangible. Ela tzadikim yoshvin, v'atroseim b'rasheim v'nenem iziv hashchina. You know what? The Metzias Olam Haba is tzadikim. You sit and you bask in proximity to the divine. And the tzadikim are sitting, yoshvin, and with the crown sitting comfortably atop their heads. And v'nenem iziv hashchina, and they're deriving endless, unbelievable pleasure and benefit from the splendor, the radiance of God's divine presence. So what is Olam? Tzadikim Yoshvin. So what do you mean by Balei Teshuvah Omdin? Tzadikim are not Omeid. Who's Omeid? So perhaps the idea is as follows. And the Kabbalim, the Kabbalists tell us, when we invoke the Loshen of Shechina, Shechina means you're not really right by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But if you're really by the Shechina, you're not allowed to sit by the Shechina. What does Hashem tell Moshe Rabbeinu when Moshe Rabbeinu goes up to get the Torah? What is Hashem's terminology? Va'ata po amod imadi. Stand there with me. Of course, stand there with me. Because if you're right directly in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Chavodo va'atzmo, you can't sit. Who has the audacity, the chutzpah to sit? Allah Chalamaisi, you're not allowed to sit. Moshe Rabbeinu, Yabaya Kodesh Baruch Hu V'atapo Amod Imadi. You got to stand. Now, what does the Gemara tell us in Yuma? The last line of Pei Vav Amud Aleph, Rabbi Levi tells us, Gedola Tshuva Shamagas Ad Kisei HaKavod. Tshuva goes way beyond where people can feel the presence and bask in proximity and closest to the Shechina. Tshuva reaches all the way to the Kisei HaKavod Mamish. If Tshuva takes you to the Kisei HaKavod, and then about Tshuva taps into the power of Tshuva, and the Baal Tshuva isn't sitting in Olam Haba, and the Baal Teshuva is standing because he's right by the Kisei HaKavod. So now, my dear friends, the Gemara's terminology is so geschmack, is so perfect. Amokum Balei Teshuvah Omdin, the place of Balei Teshuvah stand, which is right by the Kisei HaKavod, because only Teshuvah takes you right there. So hence the perfect terminology of Chazal. Amokum Balei Teshuvah Omdin, in the place of Balei Teshuvah are standing, because they're right by the Kisei HaKavod. Afilo Tzadikim Gemura. They're not standing because they're sitting, like the Gemara told us earlier. Tzadikim Yoshvin, they're sitting because they're not right here. They're a little into the distance. They're enemies of Shechina, but they're not right by HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
When I came to Rabbi Feiner with this week's piece and pointed out it fit with his Torah Maybe Chidish, he truly finished the connection perfectly.
Malachim are Omdim, but Avraham Avinu got to Azai Madrega. But Chazal said he was greater than a Malach. He was great. So he was Omeid on the Malachim. He's Omeid on the Omdim. I know he's now in their world. He got to Azai Madrega that he's an Omeid like that, because the Bible says, even though we have to be Hocha, that's the Vilna Gaon and Mishlei, just that we always have to be going up. That's the Pshat, we're always Hocha. But the Mama says the highest Madrega, and that's Shmon Esrei. That at the end of the Ma'asaricha, you become like a Malach, and you become an Omeid, you become an Yitzhak. He was in their world, taking care of Malachim, and he was Omeid on the Malachim. He was Omeid on the Omdim, because he was the Bal Teshuva Omeid, but he's Omeid on the Omdim, and that's Avraham Avinu.
We should all gain the strength from knowing that we can elevate ourselves with even the smallest mitzvahs. One of the smallest mitzvahs you can do to elevate yourself is to like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Most importantly, hit that share button to send the link to this video to friends and family in texts, email, or your social media of choice. In that way, you can stand very tall and proud in this world, and hopefully we will all stand together by Hashem's Kisei HaKavod in the next world.